Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, brothers in arms, World of Warships, and today's video is going to be another installment in our Teamwork series, and this features myself in the Shimakaze, the Tier 10 Japanese destroyer, and my buddy ElasticSpyder, and he's playing in the Des Moines, Tier 10 American heavy cruiser, and we're playing some domination here on the map Loop. So last Sunday we had an excellent teamwork video between myself and Mega, and we ended up with a pretty sizzling 9 kills in the Arizona and the Normandy respectively, and it was a great game. And well, not too long after that, Spyder and I decided to play some ships as well. We've been playing a lot of Rocket League in the last couple of months, and also Spyder has been pretty busy with college work, so we haven't had too much time to play ships together, but we decided to hop on and play a few games the other day, and this was in fact the very first game that we've played in some time. Now, you know, for a Tier 10 division, a Shimakaze and a Des Moines isn't the most scary thing in the world, specifically because the Shimakaze isn't a gunboat, and it has to rely most of the time on its torpedoes to be able to do any significant amount of damage, and also to have a big impact on the game. Now, the Des Moines, of course, is a very powerful Tier 10 heavy cruiser, but it is rather unique in that it isn't very good at tanking, at least not as good as a Moskva, a Zau, or a Hindenburg. And it has the rapid-firing 8-inch guns as well. You can get down to a 4.8-second reload before Adrenaline Rush kicks in, so it's a very good medium to close-range brawler, in all honesty. But it doesn't necessarily have the armor for it. But at least when you come across enemy destroyers and other enemy cruisers, you can do some serious damage to them. And of course, it also comes with the super heavy AP shells, so you can penetrate at some pretty ridiculous angles. So the division that we got, it's not bad, but it certainly isn't the most optimal. So, at the beginning of the game, I told Spyder, hey man, let's try to go over to A, let's try to take care of business here, get this cap taken care of, and then we can swing back to B and deal with the ships that are going over there. Now, fortunately, the enemy team is also lemming training over here to A as well, and that's something that, well, it's honestly really good that they decided to do this, because if they wanted to push B and C very heavily, well, we'd all get trapped over here in the southwest corner of the map, and things would have taken a turn for the worse very, very quickly. But since most of the enemy team is going to be over here, we don't have to worry about them getting 3 points every about 5 seconds because they're not going over to Cap C for the time being. So that's honestly really nice. And if we're able to get this enemy destroyer off the A cap, we'll be able to get A and keep the point totals, relatively close as they continue to get points from the B cap. Now, you can see right there in front of me that Shimakaze that's in the cap launched all 3 sets of his torpedoes, so that means it's time for me to go in and see what I can do. You can see his last reported position is right next to the island, and then voila, there he goes, getting spotted by the dive bombers. I've now moved within the 2 kilometers assured detection range, and I'm doing something that I don't normally do here. I would usually keep the guns ready to go at point-blank range, but I'm deciding to use my torpedoes instead, and for some reason that Shimakaze is sitting right at the corner of the island and he's not moving, and my second spread of torpedoes that gets launched, one slams home into the bow of that Tier 10 Japanese destroyer, and I managed to pick up my first kill of the game. Now, I am being radared here by the New Orleans, so I do have to get out of dodge, and while I am moving away, we're going to switch over to Spyder's perspective. He's got some armor piercing loaded here for this Admiral Hipper. Now, German heavy cruisers, especially the high tiers, I'd say from the Hipper, the Prinz-Eugen, the Rune, and the Hindenburg, they all have the turtleback armor design, so they're very difficult to get citadels on. However, the Des Moines comes equipped with just the right type of AP for the job. You can see Spyder here is switching to the armor piercing, and even at these medium ranges, these AP shells are able to just dive in right on top of the turtleback and get lots of juicy citadels. There we go. He picks up 1 citadel. He's also shooting down some airplanes with his very, very good performing anti-aircraft guns. You can see that he knocked out the engine on the Hipper, and as the next salvo goes in, he manages to get yet another citadel, and he picks up his first kill on that Tier 8 German heavy cruiser. However, in the blink of an eye, you can see he's already lost about half of his hit points. It appears that the Montana and the other battleship, I believe the Missouri that was over there, took a pot shot at him, and even if the Des Moines is bow in, it just does not have the frontal deck or the frontal bow armor to be able to reliably tank battleships-sized shells at least 16 inches and above. If a Tirpitz or a Bismarck comes across, it can just go nose in and not have much of an issue, but American shells, The Yamato, of course, it's just able to make mincemeat of that bow. And honestly, the spot that Spyder's in right now is pretty good. Creeping up to the corner of the island right there. He was well within radar range of the A-cap, so at the very least, he was going to be able to support us up here if the enemy decided to throw more DDs on A, or if they decided to push a little heavier. However, you can see that the enemy team has realized that the entire eastern side of the map, sans one destroyer, is completely free. So they've since moved over to C, capped it. They've had B for some time now, but we do have the points lead because they've already lost 4 ships, and I am about ready, with the help of my friends, going to cap the A objective. Now, as I do so, we're going to switch back over to Spyder's perspective, and right here is another example of some high-tier American heavy cruiser gameplay. Because you have the lobby shell arcs, you are able to do stuff just like this. You can see his forward turrets are shooting downrange at the enemy Missouri that is sailing full broadside, and right there you can see a lot of penetrations and a lot of overpens on the broadside of that battleship. And again, these AP shells, they just do so much consistent damage. And that's why if you catch anything broadside, even at its maximum range of 15.8 kilometers without the range extension equipment piece that you can put on, it can do a lot of damage very, very quickly. Now, you can see Spyder's AA is going to town once again. There are some enemy fighters that have just strayed inside of his AA bubble, and immediately they get absolutely walloped. And, you know, it's the Des Moines. That's what it does. This thing is an AA monster, and when you pop the defensive fire, you can see just how quickly those planes have been swatted out of the sky, and he's up to 9 planes as we switch back to my perspective. So at this point, the game score is 329 to 427. The enemy team is about to have over a 100-point lead, so I definitely need to get on this B cap sooner rather than later. My torpedoes are reloaded and ready to go. I do personally prefer the 12-kilometer torpedoes. When I first got the Shimmy, I actually used the 8-kilometer, but that was back in the day when there wasn't as much radar going around as there is these days. And, having the 12 kilometers, yes, the speed is a lot less, but the damage is almost the same, and you still get a lot more utility out of them because you're able to strike out at targets up to about 14 and a half kilometers, assuming that they're coming at you at full speed. So you can drop them well outside of the torpedoes range, and then, of course, they're going to run into them. But you can see here I decided to drop my entire set against the Missouri, but he kind of outplayed me right there. I saw that he was slowing down, and for some reason I thought that he might have decided to maybe back up or something. However, this enemy gearing does appear, and as I pop my smoke screen, I start to shoot at that Tier 10 American destroyer. Now, my buddy Spyder has since moved around. He backed up, repositioned himself, and he is getting ready to pop his radar, which he does so right about now. There we go. The radar is up, and it not only spots the gearing, but it also spots the Utiloy. So we go back to my perspective. I'm about ready to drift out of my smoke screen, but I will be able to kill this Tier 10 American DD, and this is where Shimakaze high explosive shot is actually really, really good. The HE potential, the alpha damage is very nice on it. He's at 1,700 hit points, and I managed to take care of that guy, and Spyder's radar is still spotting the Utiloy, so now he is getting some good shots in this guy. And the Utiloy is just way too close, and Spyder still has over 20 seconds on his radar, so there's absolutely no way he's going to be able to get out of dodge, and at this point it's just a case of who is going to get the kill. And when you stray this close to a Des Moines, because it has the 54-second radar, if you have the radar equipment piece on it, you just can't get out of dodge. It doesn't really matter what destroyer that Utiloy could have been. It could have been a Habarovsk, it could have been a Z-52, it just doesn't matter. That guy was doomed the second Spyder hit his T-key. So that was some very good stuff right there. And he picks up his second kill of the game. He's up to 38,000 damage. And now, with the B-cap taken care of, at least of all the enemy destroyers, I'm going to move back in with my other destroyer buddy that's moving in, and we're going to be able to get on this cap. Now, you can see that there is an enemy Missouri coming around the corner, so Spyder is getting his rear turret pointed to the starboard side of the ship, and he is getting ready to engage this guy. Now, a Des Moines versus a Missouri in a one-on-one, well, I don't want to say it's a flip of a coin because the Des Moines can still get low-penned through the front, especially through the bow and the forward thwart ship underneath the A turret. So it can get a little dicey, but we're going to see what happens here. Spyder does pop his defensive fire, ready for all these planes that are coming over, and you can see the number continues to tick up very, very fast. Now, he obviously looked over at the planes that were flying over. You can't see it on the replay itself, but he definitely would have clicked on the squadron to get the AA DPS up more, and he's already shot down 12 planes so far, and there are more in on the way with some dive bombers and some torpedo planes. Now, you can see right here, the angle that Spyder is at, he is able to, most of the time, get his rear turret off. More shells coming in from the Missouri, and he actually manages to bounce all of those shells right there. And that is going to come in, it's going to come in handy, actually, because since he did not take any damage from the 2 forward turrets, he's getting, you know, a free pass. No damage caused by him or by the Missouri is actually really, really important because it keeps him at about half health. And since he's closing the distance, it's a double-edged sword. The Missouri is almost guaranteed to not miss. You can see there he takes a pretty big hit. He's at 1,400 hit points. He still has the high explosive shot going. He is using his heal, but because the Missouri bounced the 2 forward turrets off 2 salvos ago, Spyder is able to secure the kill on this guy. He's also shot down almost 30 aircraft, gets his 3rd kill of the game. And now we're going to switch back to my perspective. Meanwhile, I have set up shop inside the B cap. I have my smoke going. I am taking some hits here from the enemy Henri IV. However, all of my torpedoes are ready to go, so I am waiting to see what this guy does. And you can see that he immediately decides to turn into the cap. And unfortunately, he goes undetected because my smoke screen is blocking line of sight, and there's nobody else, a friendly ship that is, that does have line of sight. So at this point, I was actually getting a little bit worried here. You can see my RPF is pointing straight out in front of me, and Spyder's radar, as we go back to his perspective, is ready to go. So he does decide to pop it to hook me up and give me that visual. And with 9:18 left in the game, he manages to spot the Henri, but there's only one reason, why the Henri is charging my position, and that's because he has hydroacoustic loaded. So at this point, I figured to myself, I'm dead. I'm just going to drop my torpedoes and see what I can do. You can see also I took a pretty big hit, over 3,000 from his armor-piercing shot out of the forward guns because I was angled. It's not just battleships that can get AP pens on an angled destroyer. The cruisers can as well. However, RNGesus hooks me up very nicely. 3 torpedoes from all 3 salvos manage to hit that guy. And I kill that tier 10 French heavy cruiser. Very, very lucky right there. At less than 1,000 hit points. I really should have died. That Kutuzov that had a shot with his 2 forward turrets, he did not hit me. And that's the reason why I still am alive. I believe one of the shells from the Montana that was moving over to the A-cap managed to score a over-penetration on the back of my ship. Now you can see here, for Spyder's perspective, once again, he's absolutely annihilating the enemy planes that are around. He's also getting some armor-piercing shot into the side of the enemy Kutuzov, getting more citadels. There's also some dive bombers going in at the friendly Yu Yang that is over there. I think it's a Yu Yang. Yeah, the Yu Yang that's over there. So his AA is keeping the dive bombers away from his buddy, and he is sitting inside of the smoke screen that guy provided for him. So he's able to shoot at this Kutuzov completely undetected and get free damage on this guy. He's also over 100,000 points of damage, and as the Kutuzov does angle up, he decides to switch back to the high explosive fire. Now at this point, you can see the Yu Yang is almost done capturing the sea cap, and he has spotted the enemy aircraft carrier. So once those torpedo planes hopefully, once they don't manage to secure the kill on that guy, because Spyder now pops his defensive fire as those planes are going in on their attack run, and he's able to get the torpedoes well spread out. He's up to 47 planes shot down so far. I'm not sure why that carrier keeps sending his planes over here, the Enterprise, but for Spyder's case, he's racking up an incredible amount of XP from this game, most definitely. Now he's turning to port. We still got to get over to the B cap because the enemy team is going to be able to get the A cap here sometime in the near future, and we are still losing this game. It's 557 to 645. The reason why we are losing is because the enemy team had control of B and C for so long at the beginning of the game that they, even though they've lost a lot of ships as well, they were able to build a nice cushion with their points lead. So at this point, Spyder, not 100% sure what he was doing here. I'm like, hey man, are you going to turn hard left and try to get into the B cap? And he was trying to comply right here, but he's not going to be able to make this turn. Now you can see that there are some fighter planes that are getting ready to move over the B cap, as our friendly carrier has some dive bombers that I believe are over there. No, torpedo planes. So at this point, Spyder is behind solid cover, so he should be able to get his AA going on those fighter aircraft. But unfortunately for me, because I only have about a little over 500 hit points, I immediately have to smoke up in the position that I'm at right now. I was intending to move the smoke screen to the corner of this island so Spyder could peek his nose around into B, but very unfortunately, because I did get detected, I had to pop my smoke screen immediately. And, you know, one of the battleships on the enemy team is from PSV, and I think it's Warplanes Tiger. He's a very good player, very accurate shot in a battleship. So I can't afford, even if I was only detected for a split second, I cannot afford to, you know, be detected for any longer than that. And excuse me, it was War Eagle, that's it. So at this point, Spyder is going to move into my smoke screen that I did provide for him. He does have his radar ready to go, and his next defensive fire is up in 27 seconds. You can see here that there is still a Minotaur, there's the Montana, there's a friendly, or an enemy Kutuzov, I should say, that is now moving into the B cap. So as Spyder starts to open fire here, we're then going to switch to my perspective here in a couple seconds, and I'm going to also open up on that guy as well. And you can see right there, I do start to shoot down range at him. Spyder still has the armor-piercing shot loaded, but now he's reloading the high explosive, and there we go. We're switching back to my perspective here. I was actually a little worried right here that Spyder might clip me with the rear turret very, very close, but I guess he knew that I was a little bit too short for that to happen, but that would have been pretty bad if he would have accidentally TK'd me right there with his rear gun. I do manage to get a fire out on the Kutuzov with a quartet of penetrations, actually. If you do manage to aim into the superstructure on high-tier cruisers in your destroyers, you can still do a decent bit of damage before that part of the ship does get saturated. You can see some more shells going in on the Kutuzov. You can also see the enemy Montana is moving around to the right side. However, all of my torpedoes are ready to go, so I am waiting to see if that guy continues his push around the corner. I do manage to get another fire on the Kuter right there. It looks like he's trying to slow down a little bit and try to find a place where he can hide behind the rock, but he is unable to do so. Now at this point, I launch 2 of my 3 sets of torpedoes, anticipating the battleship continuing his push around the corner. And now we're switching back to Spyder's perspective. He's trying to go for his next kill here on the Kutuzov. Hopefully he will not be able to turn away, but one of the shells manages to dive in through the rear of the ship, and he scores a Citadel. And he not only is able to get the kill, but it is his 4th one of the game, and he's up to 112,000 points of damage. 53 planes shot down, and there are still more fighters in the vicinity of the B objective here. So now he's going to put himself into a position where the Montana is not able to get shots. Very nice positioning right here, and you can see my torpedoes as Spyder did manage to pick up the clear skies. He is now in a position where he is going to be safe. Now we're going to follow my torpedoes in. Unfortunately, War Eagle was not expecting this, and 1, 2, and 3 torpedoes slam home into that Tier 10 American battleship. I pick up Confederate and my 4th kill of the game as well, and I'm up to almost 130,000 points of damage. And yes, indeed, War Eagle, we definitely ended your suffering. So far, clear sky, Confederate, and 8 kills between the 2 of us. This has been one hell of a carry. And like I said, this was the first game that we've played just us 2 in quite some time. And, well, I guess that's just how it works. When you play with your friends, when you play with really good players, the chemistry, it takes a very, very long time for it to rub off. So even though we hadn't done this in a hot minute, you know, just taking care of business. Now, maybe Spyder threw away a few too many hit points, and maybe I got really lucky and I should have died in the B cap. Those are 2 very valid points. But how's the saying go? Fortune favors the bold. That's right. So, you know, yeah, that's all I really got on that. There's only 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game now. It's 8:69 to 7:19. Even if our buddy, the carrier, dies down there, it doesn't really matter because our Yu Yang managed to get the kill on the Enterprise. So unfortunately, the Minotaur will be able to take care of business, but it was a nice trade, and we're still up 3 ships to 1. And we also have 2 caps to 1 as well. So I'm going to head over to the A cap, and I am reloaded on my torpedoes. I know that the Minotaur is probably going to come back and try to interdict the B cap, so I'm going to set up to launch some torpedoes downrange. You can also see the GGs are going out in chat. I figured at this point there's really no way that that Minotaur is going to be able to clutch this game. But hey, you never know. Sometimes putting GG in chat a little too early actually lets your guard down. So you do have to be careful about that. But again, I was still feeling pretty comfortable at this point. My RPF is pointing down to my port side, down to the south side. So I am getting ready here to launch some torpedoes based off of where my RPF is pointing. And that's something that it's an acquired taste, and it does take a long time to get good at because you have to be very anticipatory about where the enemy ship may or may not be. So switching back to Spyder's perspective here, he is in a kiting position, angled away very nicely. The Des Moines does have pretty nice over-the-shoulder angles to shoot backwards at ships, for that matter. Now, like most of the high-tier American cruisers, it does have a very weak aft, and it is very rectangular. It's very boxy, so you do take massive damage through the butt of those cruisers. You can see my torpedoes are going down range, and Spyder is detected right here. The Minotaur does have very good concealment, I believe 8.7 kilometers if it's fully upgraded. And you can see Spyder is taking some damage from this guy. Hopefully my torpedoes will be able to, at least one of them anyway, chunk him down so then Spyder can finish off the kill. But very unfortunate Unfortunately, there's a nice Minotaur-sized gap in the torpedoes, and he does manage to dodge them. So I'm not going to be able to help Spyder out here, and he does have the hit point disadvantage, but like I said, because he is shooting over the shoulder and cutting away, there are some shells that do penetrate if they hit the superstructure, but there's also a lot of shells, like you heard right there, that hit the stern, and they're not able to. The next salvo going down does manage to get a fire on the midsection of that guy. Spyder goes undetected, and then we hit 1,000 points. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results for Spyder. 687,000 credits received and over 15,000 total experience earned. He picked up Dreadnought and Clear Skies. Very good stuff. Dealing 129,000 points of damage off of 178 shell hits. He shot down 59 enemy aircraft, 4 ships destroyed, 4 fires, 5 citadels, 4 base defense ribbons, and 12 secondary hits. Taking a look at the team score, 2,847 base XP in this one. Very solid stuff. I came in second place with 4 kills of my own and 2529 base EXP. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Kutrovsky in the Lexington. He had 32 planes of his own and 1812 base experience, so a very nice job by our carrier, most definitely. Spyder's detailed report, 37,000 damage dealt with the HE, 87 with the armor piercing, 1,000 with the secondaries, and 1,500 with the fires that he set. He also had almost 1.5 million potential damage, which for a Des Moines is still a pretty healthy number. Now taking a look at my personal score, 744,000 credits received and over 17,000 total experience earned. I picked up Confederate, dealing 129,000 points of damage off of 155 shell hits and 7 torpedoes, 4 ships destroyed, 6 fires, 5 floods, 1 base defense ribbon, and 2 assisted base captures. Taking a look at my detailed report, 39,000 damage dealt with the main battery, 77,000 damage dealt with the torpedoes, and 13,000 other with the fires and the floods that I set. I also had 49 of our team's 180 capture points and 36 of our team's 148 defense points. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this replay. Please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, or possibly subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, this is the Sneaky Snake for Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, as always, have a great day.